Hey guys, and we're back now. So I don't know if you had a chance to tune into Joe's talk about why your hair is dry. And I think this is the perfect step now to speaking with Amy about choosing products for your hair and your hair type. And I think that just takes it into the next step because I know you guys had a lot of questions for Joe. And so some of your product specific questions, I think, or not like specific product, but product types is a good question for Amy. So before we get into it, I just want to, for those of you who are just joining us today, thank you and welcome. So this is the second Healthy Hair Summit. I am Scarlett, the creator of Wonder Curl and the Healthy Hair Summit. The goal of the summit is to provide you with the facts based around our hair and our culture. It is the only online event of its kind to teach you everything you need to know to grow your healthiest hair ever. So the Healthy Hair Summit is brought to you by Wonder Curl. Wonder Curl was created out of a personal need for natural hair products that simply did what they said, used quality ingredients and improved on the health of the hair. We are a Black-owned vegan hair care product line that uses natural ingredients known for their nourishing and medicinal properties. Curls and kinks are hydrated for days without the frizz or crunch. And we offer online education through one-on-one consults, virtual hair summits like this one. And healthy hair is good hair, and we give you all the tools you need to achieve your healthy hair goals. So visit wondercurl.com to learn more. Our sponsor for today is Sustain the Magazine. Sustain is an online media platform where eco-conscious warriors cultivate a healthy, planet-friendly lifestyle. And you can visit their website on the Summit Categories page. And now our speaker, Amy Bush. Amy has over 30 years of hair care experience in the hair industry. She has created and perfected her own set of curly hair philosophies through her personal experience in various salons with a multitude of fellow stylists. She's trained both nationally and internationally, as well as collaborated with talented stylists to teach and develop others. In 2010, she opened the doors to the Ambush Salon, a curly hair only salon with the best team of curl specialists to care for all types of curls. And she has also launched the Ambushed Curl Academy so that she can share her passion for education with stylists across the globe. So thank you guys. And let's welcome Amy to the Healthy Hair Summit. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's great to be back again. I'm pretty excited because I'd like to, going to be able to expand even more than what I did the last time and kind of break it down. So, because as we know, there's information for days. And so it's about trying to take some of the top things that are always the same questions that people have all the time. So one of the things I'm kind of really passionate about, especially with product, is how does product work and why does it work and what is the purpose for it? I think that can be really confusing. So I kind of wanted to kind of simplify and kind of break it down in a way that might help answer some of those questions of knowing when to do something and what product to maybe pick up and start with, because there's hundreds of thousands of products. So, going with that, so the first thing that we start with is hair texture and the curl typing with curls, and does that really matter? And the answer that I'm going to say for today is that it doesn't matter as much as to what shape your curl is. Is it an S formation? Is it a spiral? Is it a corkscrew? Is it a zigzag? Is it just a wave? And it doesn't matter what your nationality is as to the type of hair you have either. What really matters with products is porosity versus non-porosity. And that to be the biggest factor in finding products that work for you. And so we know that there's certain characteristics that kind of go along with certain curl shapes in the hair. Now, but after the end of this, if you can just first focus on the porosity of the hair, then going forward, it kind of will funnel and give you a little bit better guideline as to knowing where to start to pick up, because a lot of it's trial and error. So you kind of have to start somewhere when you're looking at the shelves in the store, or whether you're standing in the salon and you just see all these products and you're like, do I need moisture? Do I need hydration? Do I want volume? And what does all of it mean? So breaking it down very simply, if we start with, say, very porous hair, and there's a lot of things that people might have seen, like the porosity, hair test. You take it, drop it in the water, and that sort of thing. I'm going to say it's really simple. Get in the shower, wet your hair. Does it take a long time for the water to run through and to get it wet? Because sometimes you can stand there for 10 minutes and you have to move it around and really kind of work it. If you have to do that, you have very dense, very non-porous hair. Now, what is porosity? Porosity is just the ability of the hair to absorb or not absorb water or product. That is what porosity means in the hair. So when we say hair is porous, that means it's going to absorb liquid very easily. It's going to absorb product pretty easily. Characteristics of very porous hair is going to be like maybe your hair's floppy, okay, or kind of wimpy. That might be from chemical damage. It might be from heat damage. It might be from traction damage. It might, those are kind of like external forces that are typically going to be the highest percentage of factors that go into creating porous hair. All of those things. I think most of us have felt those effects on our hair at some point in time. Too many highlights, too much coloring. And so when that happens, the hair is now devoid of strength. So with fine hair, we know it now absorbs a lot of things. That means that it can get heavy very quickly. Some textures that are finer might look a little oily or greasy at the scalp and then look really dry and frizzy on the ends. That's kind of, can be some of the characteristic of that. Not getting enough volume, kind of laying flatter against your scalp, feeling that you need to add some sort of air or heat to get volume, such as diffusing versus, air drying. So those are some of the things to look at. When looking at porous hair, using things like co-washes, just rinsing with conditioner, using cream cleansers all the time consistently are going to continue to weigh the hair down. So even if it's not causing damage to the hair, it's still going to get heavy and kind of lay on that outside cuticle and just lay it down, and it's going to start to look dull. It's not necessarily buildup, it's just not being released from the hair enough. So with that, you want to make sure that you have a cleansing routine that is going to be appropriate and that's going to work. That means you're allowed to cleanse more often, maybe with a lather versus a cream. And, a lather shampoo tends to be easily dissipated a little bit more and spread a little easier when water is added to it. And it carries away the dirt, carries away the debris, carries away the buildup that is left behind by other products so that hair can get lighter.
Right.
So, so when you want more volume with finer hair, you want it to be light. Now, that does not mean that we're stripping the hair. You still want to follow ingredients that are going to be sulfate-free, silicone-free, more vegetable-based, still following along with these ingredients. But it means that you might be able to do that 2 or 3 times a week. And then maybe 1 time a week, use more of a cleanser, that's like a cream cleanser.
Right.
Because it's going to be a little bit more gentle.
So I have a quick question because, in the natural hair community, sometimes people with like a type 4B hair, they may think like they need thicker products because their curls are so much tighter. But you're saying like, if you are 4B, but your strands are fine, you may not necessarily, like those thicker products might be harder for your hair.
Correct. Because it's about the absorption on the product, of the absorption into the hair. So yes, that might be. So if somebody with like a 4B texture of hair is feeling like the hair is looking dull, that it's looking like maybe they're putting their products on their hair and they're getting some white flaking that happens. If the ends are looking drier, but the scalp is not, then, sometimes it's because it needs to be trimmed or cleaned up, But sometimes it could be as simple as an unequal amount of distribution of product from the scalp to the ends of the hair, because the ends of the hair being older are always going to be more porous than at the root.
Yes.
So when you go to cleanse with a lather, then you want to get that really at the root area. You don't need, it's going to naturally kind of, as you're rinsing it out, it's going to naturally get onto the ends of the hair a little bit, but the concentration of it is going to be more at the root. Now, you can experiment with how often or not often you need to cleanse, but even hair that's very non-porous can still benefit from the occasional extra cleansing from a lather or something that's, or maybe a shampoo bar that's specifically designed for cleansing or detoxing is going to help, even if they might only do that once a month. But you can still get the buildup. And when hair is very non-porous, the cuticle doesn't open up. So sometimes that hair is very resistant to absorbing product as well. So the problem is that non-porous hair doesn't want to absorb product, and stuff bounces off, almost like it has Rain-X on it, you know, on your windshield. And very porous hair will over-absorb and then get floppy. So just in that cleansing process, so, you know, somebody with very non-porous hair, you know, they can use the creams more consistently. They might go, you know, and do that once a week. Personally, I think that 2 times a week is probably the best choice, because you still have to kind of move off. And if you're not doing anything to the hair in between your cleanses and conditioning days, the hair is receiving nothing. You do nothing, you get nothing. So that hair still needs to be nourished in between those times. And water is a very important ingredient in being able to open up the cuticle and prep the hair in order to deliver the cleanser, deliver the conditioning, deliver the treatment, whether it be just at the sink or whether it actually be under a steamer. Water is a delivery vehicle to being able to get the ingredients into the hair. So if the hair is feeling dry, but the hair is very non-porous, then just up your cleansing days. Do it 1 extra time during the week and see how that happens. Or if your hair is not absorbing product, then do you know what? Maybe you might cleanse just a little bit more often. And sometimes that's just enough for that hair to be able to absorb back in. Because if you think how a sponge works, and if you have a sponge and it's completely full, then nothing can get inside. So sometimes you just have to kind of clean, you know, do a fresher clean for that to absorb. So then the question is how do we know the difference between hydration and moisture?
Yes.
So the simplest way that I kind of put that together is that hydration is just like when you go to hydrate yourself. You're drinking. You know, we always say, oh, geez, I need to hydrate. So you drink electrolytes, you drink something else. When you do that, it goes internally. So in products that are hydrating, it's actually small enough molecular structure of moisture molecules that get in deeper into the hair. And they are delivering the moisture inside to the hair to stay stuck.
So would that be like your deep conditioning treatments? That would be more hydrating?
Yep, correct. So that could be conditioning treatments. That could even be some products that are going to be styling products. They too deliver, you know, hydration or moisture. That's why when you kind of see on some of those products, it says hydrating, you know, balm, hydrating foam, hydrating, or, you know, moisturizing cream or gel.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're going to see that. So that's kind of giving you an indication of where those water molecules are going to sit. So with hydrating, they're small enough that they actually get inside the hair itself. And they deliver the molecules in that ingredient that's in the product, and they get stuck there. Now, moisture is going to be like when you moisturize your skin. You put lotion. You're putting that on the outside of your body. It only gets delivered in so far into your skin, correct? So many layers. So they actually, moisturizing products, especially with hair products, are actually pulling moisture from the air. And it's kind of a continuous pull. And that brings it, and that's going to coat on the outside. So if somebody is having a really hard time with getting enough moisture into their hair, First, you want to properly cleanse to make sure that the door can be open, so to speak. Nothing is laying on.
Mhm.
Natural oils, serums, other products that are stickier can tend to lay on the outside of the hair. So we want to make sure that that's off. Then you want to do hydrating. And then you finally finish up with moisturizing. And if you do that,
Got
then
it.
you got it internally and externally. And so it's almost like getting a proper double dosage. So when you're sick and you go to the doctor and they give you an antibiotic, there's different antibiotics that take care of different issues that are making us ill. And hair products are the same way. So it's really
Mhm.
important to make sure that we're understanding why that is. Because a lot of people are like, my hair's frizzy, I just need moisture. But you might need some repair with some protein. You might need to double layer. You know, there's lots of different reasons, but that's kind of the guideline, I think, on cleansing and just
Yeah.
and then treatments are more for like your special cases, special needs. So if you've had chemical damage, if you've had heat damage and things like that. Now, depending how far gone that is, depends how much you can pull and bring it back, because it can only spring back so much. And at that point, regular trims, finding a cute shape that you're, comfortable with, or other alternate
Mhm.
styles can help kind of bring that together while you don't want to lose your length and your natural textures coming back in. So
Mhm.
a lot of times people are like, how do I know? So
Right.
that I would do, so in looking at a product and kind of deciding where does it lay on the surface of the hair, there's a cool little trick. You can take a water glass that I've got here, and you can put product into the water glass, and where it sits in the
Oh.
water is a good indication of where it's potentially going to be. So we can start doing some experimenting and see, where does this product lie, right? So if I do a foam, okay, so foams, we'll start with finer hair again.
Mhm.
Foams, mousses, they're lighter weight. They're
Yep.
going to the outside of the hair, more easily broken up, like just by regular rinsing with water. They're going to break up a lot easier.
Mhm.
They are much better on very porous hair because it absorbs it in and then it's going to hold, and you can kind of
Right.
break that up later. Thick hair, you can do it, but sometimes it's almost like you didn't put anything on.
Yeah,
You still
like
have those little hairs pinging,
right,
the
mousse is
shorter,
nothing for me.
yeah, it does nothing. So, but hair like mine, that is much finer or very, very porous, even if it's a 4B, okay, is still going to do better with the foam. So, as an
Right.
example, I just sprayed some on. So, you can
Mm.
see
Going into the
it's kind of
water.
settling in, and see how it's going more towards the top. Now it's shot in there, so it kind of pushed down into the water. But if we let that sit, you can see the foam is on the top, and then it kind of sprinkles kind of in through there, and it's not even down here at all.
Right.
So that, and as this is continuing to settle, you can see how it's just settling just at the top here. Kind of, it's not quite as, but it's going to be like, so if I just let this sit, you'll be able to kind of see. So this tells you that it's going to get the outside cuticle of the hair and then get absorbed in a little bit more, just that little, more into the edge. But you can see how this is settling. It's kind of, and it's going to stay right at the surface. So
Yep.
that gives an example of what that's going to do. If we take, so that's for that finer hair. So we know that foams now stay on the outside of the cuticle. For fine hair, puddings, heavier, like more like that creamy texture. So we'll go ahead and
Mhm.
pudding here. Let's see if I can.
So I
Yes.
wanted to ask, like in my experience of like when I do hair demonstrations, like I've sort of noticed, and this isn't the case for every single person, but most times I find that people who have fine hair, those very thinner strands, their hair
Yes.
tends to be more on the high porosity side where it absorbs and soaks up product
Yes.
a lot
Yes.
faster.
Yep. And it
Yes.
does. That's been my experience as well. So, like for instance, if you put a gel on that hair texture, sometimes it can feel crispier when it dries than it would on someone that has very dense, very thick, very non porous hair.
Right.
So, whereas it can feel a lot softer. So when making choices, if you choose somebody with very porous hair and give them a gel or the jelly,
Mm-hmm.
then and they put it on, they're like, oh, this is really hard. When in reality,
Right.
it's not going to be on somebody else's hair. Same product, different hair. Or you could put something on that has a lot of moisture. And if you do that, then it's going to get really floppy and limp, and the curls are going to
Right.
kind of get pulled out. And some people might then say, this looks greasy, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't get any volume. My curl doesn't look springy. So, so yeah, with all those lighter weight products, that's kind of, or if you put too heavy a product on, it could just sit there and then it gets stiff, especially for like porous hair. You're not going to
Right.
get that spring. You're trying to get that spring back into the hair because of some previous damage. Then you have to help it get the spring. And so
Right.
things that are heavy moisture or heavier creams are not going to do that. Now, of course, like you say, all rules are made to be broken. Okay.
Yep.
It's not a law, it's a rule. So it's a guideline. So definitely, you can play around with the amount that you use. Some people find just a little pea size amount is a perfect combination to mix with other products. Some people are like none at all,
Mm-hmm.
kind of a thing. So yeah, staying with those lighter weight. So here, if I pick up the water again, you can see how clear and where that settled.
Yeah, it's very like,
Yep,
so if you have like finer, thinner hair, you probably want to stick with like a mousse or a lighter
right. So products
product.
that kind of sit at that top that are going to kind of break up a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I put in, as an example,
I know. And I think like after seeing this, I think like almost everybody who tuned in is going to go into their bathrooms and grab a glass of water and start putting their products and be like, let me see what this.
let me see what this does. Let me see what that does. I know.
Yeah.
So if we take that and I take a little bit of your pudding and let's drop that in.
Yeah, that's
And you can
gonna.
see how instantaneously, now see where it's sitting? Below the surface. So that tells you where that's going to get really absorbed into porous hair.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to be on the outside, it's going to be on the inside. Well, it's supposed to, because we want to add the moisture and the hydration of the
Right. So
product.
it's more of a hydrating because the molecules are smaller, so it's going to get
Right.
into the glands.
Yep. Correct. But it didn't drop down further, so it's not complete hydration. It still
Right.
has moisture, so it's sitting right below the surface there. Now, if we let's see what happens with the butter. I know, I think everybody is going to be experimenting with this, right?
Well,
Because
I am.
it's going to be kind of fun, right?
I
So,
so am. I've never done this with my products, so I'm glad you're doing it because I was like, I want to learn too. Let me see.
I know. So this is the butter, right?
Yep.
So we're going to pop that in and see where it sits. So it
That's
sits
probably
in
gonna be at the top too.
the same place. The difference is, even though it's sitting in the same place here, and if we look at it, eventually it might even do something a little different.
Actually, let's make that
Is
a little bit bigger so we can see that a little bit better. Yep.
There we go. So you can still see it's sitting in the same place, right?
Right.
But, the thing about this is consistency. So we'll let the water get into this for a minute, and then I'll pull one back out, and let's see what happens to it when I use it in my hands as to how that
Mm-hmm.
break up. So we're going to let it kind of sit in the water for a few minutes and see. Now let's see what smoothie does. Now, in my experience with the smoothie, if the hair is too fine, because the natural oil's in it, it tends
Mm-hmm.
to be a little heavy on that. Now, that doesn't mean somebody with fine hair can't use it, just in my experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I tend to, a lot of times, if I want to have that little bit of extra texture to it, or I want to prevent static during the winter, it's great on straighter hair for static. Even running it through, even if you've already straightened your hair out, take a little
Mm-hmm.
bit, run it through. Great for getting extra days during the wintertime.
Yep. Yep.
Also, so we know that it's also humidity proof. So we're going to go ahead and go with the smoothie here.
And I'm going to tell you, you're the first person to ever do this kind of demonstration. I don't think but I'm like, all of the influencers now are going to be doing this demo on their like YouTube channel. And guys, make sure you give Amy her credit.
It's going to be viral.
Yeah, give Amy her credit, guys.
Saw it here first.
Yeah.
So look what happened there. Interesting, right?
Right, it went right down.
Right to the bottom. This explains why fine hair gets too heavy when you put this on. It is going straight into the inside of that hair texture.
Okay.
See that? Straight down at the bottom. A couple little floaties here and there that are kind of floating back up, so that are going towards the surface. So that tells me that we're getting surface coverage in the middle and deep.
Yeah,
that's what
I just want to say I have like the funniest comment, and I have to read it out loud for everyone because I chuckled. She says, "The water test is the best thing since sliced bread. I'm here for it, chewing popcorn, watching intensely." And I think we all are. So
I love it. I feel like Bill Nye, the science guy.
Yes, this is really
kind of.
Like, so, in the comments, who is going to do this after the summit is over? I want you guys to tell us in the discussion. Like, give a little like high five. Me, definitely doing it. We want to know.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's great. So now I've taken the pomade,
which is coming back. The pomade is coming back for the holiday season. I promise. I promise.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the pomade for just smooth. I mean, so many things. So I don't know how I can get this close enough, but you can see a little film at the top. See the little bit in the middle?
Yep.
And then you see what's at the bottom.
Yep.
Kind of almost, if I get this just right, you can see that little film.
You see it. How it's like all absorbed in part of it.
Yeah. So that, tells you where that's at. Now we've got a little bit of the pomade. And we'll see where this fits. Yep. So you can see that anything that is going to be about that texture, right? That creamy, thicker type texture, it's going to kind of, it's going to float just below the surface. Now, if I grab something else, sorry, I thought I had this out. Be right back.
Yep.
Hold on.
So we have a lot of questions coming through.
This is a great question time.
Well, I feel like a lot of what you're saying is answering people's questions. That's why I haven't really asked. Me. Well, we've gotten like a lot of me's. I'm ready. I'm doing this. Great demonstration. And so, you know what? Actually, there's a question, and I think that's going to be great with the water demonstration is the LOC method. Like, how do you feel like that would fit in when you're using your demo?
Sure. So, once again, like everything else, my answer is always, if you use it and you do it and you love it and your hair's been better than it's ever been before in your life, then keep doing what's going to work.
Right.
If you're doing it, not loving it, then it's not going to be the answer. So when I think of things, and this is an example, so let's see. I do have a little bit more water here.
Yeah. And so for any of you who don't know what the LOC method is, that is using a liquid, an oil, and then a cream in that like layer in that, you know what I'm saying, in that order.
So liquids are always going to be important, especially if they've got something in them. So water alone is not moisturizing. Water is just a vehicle to open up the door and carry product through where it needs to be. That's it. Because we all know if we wet our hair down and do nothing to it and let it dry, it's in the same exact place that it was when we started. Still just as dry, still just as frizzy, still just as not clean, whatever. So water in and of itself is not. It has to deliver something for the hair to feel better. When you add, I've got a spray oil here. So we still have a little bit of the left, so it's a little bit. I'm going to spray this in. And we'll see how this does, because I do have
we're going to review.
So we're going to spray that in. It's going to come in. and it's
I
going to
wish there was
say,
a way I could zero in. This doesn't allow me to like zoom into your.
okay, so let me do that. So let me pour this out.
It's
I'll
like I
use
wish
the
we
other.
could just zoom in on the screen so we can get like really in on that, but it's not
Okay, there we
letting
go.
me. I
I'm
don't
going to
have
do,
that option here, but
so you won't know what this, hold on. I had,
yeah.
oh,
Can you still hear me? Because I can ask a question while you're looking.
yes, and I swore to myself I was not going to walk away and do that. However, let's see if this works. So yes, go ahead and ask your question.
What do you think about using lemon juice or ACV to cleanse hair?
So I'm not a big fan of the lemon juice
Mm-hmm.
consistently. Lemon juice used by itself to cleanse the hair is going to behave as a clarifier. So if you feel like you have that kind of buildup on it, then every once in a while, periodically using lemon juice or apple cider vinegar, that's going to work the same as using a clarifying product. Now, the thing to be careful of is when you are doing DIY products is the pH balance may not be what it needs to be.
Right.
And that may or may not affect your hair color. It may not affect the shine afterwards. So if you use those products and you're like, my hair's shinier than it's ever been, then clearly you had a buildup of something, okay? Even if it was all natural product on your hair, you still had a layer of product on there. So that tells you that periodically you should be doing some sort of a little bit deeper cleanse. And that's what that means. But I do question long term. So just to state
Right.
it, I would never, ever, ever advise someone to use baking soda.
Mm-hmm.
That is my one, like, you'll hear me be very adamant about that one. Too harsh.
Too
It's
harsh.
used, it's too harsh. It's used to scrub your countertops. It's used to get rust off of things. You
Right.
get your feet, getting the extra, layer of skin off your feet. That's what that's used for. It's not used for hair. So there's no way to say, I need moisture, tons of moisture, but I'm going to use this. Okay, it's going to take all the moisture out. It is very drying. That's what it does in baking. It takes some of that extra moisture out. So don't use it on your hair. That would be
Got
my
it. Yeah.
recommendation for that.
So instead of using like lemon or apple cider vinegar, it's like you're probably better off getting a clarifying shampoo because at least you know
Correct.
that the pH will be right for your hair.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my recommendation. One time isn't going to do anything. Okay.
Yeah.
That serum oil was not on there enough to see. I'd have to get
Okay.
another one. But if you put natural oil, so asking about getting back to the lock question is that we've all made, we've all done things and have made salad dressing. And we know that oil, and we learned this when we're in grade school, right? Oil and water do not mix. So when you
Right.
see it together in a bottle, it'll separate. Even, other products like you get, they're separated already. You shake them up and then you use them. So if your hair is wet, the oil is on the outside of the hair now, right? And it has spread. Okay, and it's not mixing in, and it has no way to get into the inside of the cuticle of the hair because the hair is filled with water. So it's not going to get there. So I would be much more likely to recommend that somebody has liquid in their hair, then they put their cream on. Then when their hair is much more dry, doesn't have to be 100%, but more dry, and some of that water
Right.
has come off, then to add your oil.
So the
And that-
LCO,
Yeah, more, yeah.
the
So
liquid
I
cream
think of
oil.
LCO, if you're
Yeah.
going to take that. Instead of LOC, switch it
Right.
to LCO. So liquid cream and then your oil.
Right.
Now you can also mix some of your oil in with your cream so you can cocktail products. And cocktailing products creates a whole new creature for that. So you can spread that, you kind of spread that out. But that I think is a much more effective way to seal in your moisture
Yeah.
into the hair because that water's wet, right? So you're not actually sealing the water into the hair. If you actually sealed the water into the hair, your hair wouldn't dry.
Hmm.
Like it would still be there heavy. So
Right.
after the water dissipates into the air, then you're just left with the product, that's on there. So then at that point, when you put your oil on, now you can kind of smooth out those ends because it's ready to absorb it.
Right. So you want to use your oil at the end more as a finisher versus like during the process of adding the product.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, I know. I don't like using a straight up oil or butter on my hair. Like I like it mixed into my products. And when I used it, oils just straight on my hair, before I like while my hair was wet before I applied a product, it actually made my hair not able to absorb
Yeah.
those products. And I think
Correct.
maybe for some of us who are doing the liquid oil cream and they still find that your hair is dry, maybe switch it up. Try the cream and then the oil and see what goes on.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the cream is actually going to, remember, the cream is going to deliver into the hair and the oil is going to stay on the outside.
Right.
Okay. Unless part of that exception is with the smoothie, as we
Yeah.
saw. The
That is-
smoothie is an exception to that rule. But like straight up oils.
Yeah,
And then when you
straight
think about using natural oils in your hair, think about the natural state and stuff that oil is. So I know that it's very popular for a lot of people to want to use coconut oil. So it's in its natural state at room temperature, it's solid. And it doesn't break down till it's been heated up, whether it be in your hands, in the microwave, whatever that is. So when it goes to dry, it gets heavy at that point. So people with very fine hair are going to find that their hair is too heavy with coconut oil. But using something like jojoba oil, which is a very fine, small grade, that actually passes onto the inside of the hair, which is often a carrier oil for, they're like essential oils or scents, right?
Right.
So, jojoba is used in many different products because it's a carrier oil. So it's going to actually carry it more deeper internally. Sesame seed oil, oils that have like you couldn't heat them up, like they don't have a high heat tolerance. Those are going to get absorbed into the hair and usually are a much finer grade. So if you put it on your skin and it just sits there, then that tells you that it's a larger molecular structure.
Right,
If you
like castor
it's
oil.
absorbed in, that tells you. So that's kind of one of the things that I do like about the pomade is that even still, like you can put it in and it gets absorbed. If you guys can see how dry my summer skin is, but you can almost see how much more moisturized. And because the way that the oils, especially like avocado oil and such like that, are much more easily absorbed as well.
Right.
And they spread. So when I do this, I don't feel a greasy layer. I can feel that there's a little something there, but it's not greasy. It's not sliding. And that tells you too where that's going to sit. So even if you take product and rub it into your skin and say, "Oh, where does that? How's that feel?" You can feel how much your skin will absorb and how much is going to be left on the outside of your skin.
Right. So I have a question.
Sure.
I have 4C hair and it's dry almost all the time. Does that mean I need to cleanse more often and use less intense moisture products?
So with the 4C, so I would say that for that hair that feels dry all the time, I would go back to the combination and I would layer products. So, I would maybe actually do a little more of a cleanse, more of a clarifier or a detox, like maybe every 2 weeks. And I would like twice a week, go ahead and use some sort of maybe like as an example, the clay cleanser, the detox cleanser. That is really great. It has moisture and the hair feels cleansed afterwards.
Yeah.
So something with that type of consistency is going to work. Because also the pH is going to be better to not close down and shut down the cuticle. If you just use conditioner, it's going to shut down your cuticle immediately. So I would do that. Now, in between, depending how dense your hair is. It's going to depend on what you can do in between, or maybe what styles that you've used. Some people can get away with misting their hair with a leave-in spray conditioner, and then doing a little bit of a twist out and then taking it out in the morning. So if you twist it out at night to preserve your texture and your curl and your style, put a little something on. It could be as easy as taking a little bit of the smoothie. It could be, or something like, it could be a natural oil. It could be, something that gets a little bit lightly absorbed in, mix it with a little bit of a leave-in. Go ahead and put your twist in. That's going to help leave that moisture in. If your hair is really short, then you can still mist with a little bit of water just to open it up. And then you can reapply some of your moisturizing type products. But I would say hydrating and moisture is going to be some of your best bets.
Got it. And so someone asked, what about using aloe vera gel from the plant? So directly from the plant to condition the hair? Like, would you use just straight up aloe?
Yeah, I know that people that do. And then just watch and see how the hair feels, because it's not heavy moisture based. It is reparative. So you're going to get like a light coating that's going to help protect, as well as, repair, like maybe just normal environmental type damage. So, using a bit of that, but I would say that you're not going to get a ton of moisture. So think about when you have a sunburn, we usually recommend using aloe, or if you get a burn on the stove, right? It's soothing, it's cooling, it helps the skin to repair itself. So that's what aloe is for. So I would probably take that, and you can alternate what days you use it with some of the other products, or you might use it in combination with the product.
Right. Or you can like mix it in like a conditioner.
Or you can mix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about a mom of a 4-year-old with very kinky 4C hair type? Or even just moms in general, like when they're trying to navigate through their children's hair.
Absolutely. Take their batteries out at night. Keeps them from moving. You'll be fine. 4-year-olds tend to sleep on their heads at night. 4-year-olds, are running around, rolling in the grass. And I know that tangles end up being a really big thing. So oftentimes kids are going to need a little bit more daily care than maybe you would as an adult, for getting in there. So the best way is, have them get into the habit of having a little ritual that's going on, so that maybe they have, they get their little snack, you watch a little bit of their favorite show, maybe their favorite toy, and you might have to break it up depending how much your child moves or doesn't move and can sit. And you might have to break it up and do like maybe the back or maybe the sides and then the top, and let them have a break. But when you're doing that, you're going to actually take the hair and you're going to separate it off into sections. Sometimes it might be just 4 sections. Sometimes I find that you take it into 4 sections, and then in the back, you might do one more section. So then you have 2, 4, 6, maybe, 7 or 8 sections. Take that one separate section. You're going to have to add some sort of liquid. You can put some of that liquid in, run it through, even if you just finger detangle for the night and not actually brush through it and get through it. But at the very least, and add in some of your, moisturizing product. So it could be a little bit of a butter. It could be a pudding. It could be a custard. It could be, something. And then put that in, and you could twist it out, or just braid it. I think that, with helping to maintain that, even a set of flat braids, wear them like that for a couple days, take them out. But if you want to leave their hair out, then every day adding that extra little bit of moisture in is going to really make a big difference.
Definitely. And I think no one asked this particular question, but a lot of times you hear about how parents will say that their child's hair is always so dry, and that's going to be another way to help them.
Correct. Yep. And just that extra little daily attention, and then eventually you'll get it down, and you'll know, okay, for 2 days, I can give it like 15 minutes, 30 minutes of attention. And then every couple of days, we need to do the whole entire process.
Right. And I think sometimes like we need to do that with our own hair. Like I'm like, oh, I gotta like re-wet and style my hair a little bit after a few days sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
And what about gray hair? Because we know gray
Oh,
hair is a whole different hair type. I think we should have like hair type A, B, C, and then gray.
and then gray,
And
especially
then
when
gray.
the gray is starting to come in, right? It's even
Yeah.
more up
You can
because
see
it's so much
mine.
different than the natural color, the rest of it. There you go.
Yeah, you see my
And,
little
you
grays.
know, and the shorter, so when the new hair is coming in, it's shorter. So gray
Yeah.
hair oftentimes has a little higher protein content to it. So it makes it a little bit more wiry. And those hairs are a little shorter. So they're curly and so they're springing out until they get enough length to start laying down.
Right.
So, that I would say that it's with a lot of hair, especially gray hair, hair that's thinning, hair that has broken off, hair that has shorter hairs in it, that are those little pesky ones that, create those halos that we don't like. Now what we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about is application of product. So before we were just talking more about the basis of what products do and on how they act on hair. So now we're going to talk about application. And application is huge on being able to have either a nice smooth coiled coiffed look or whether it still looks frizzy. So if you go through, and I would say that when you get out, you've cleansed your hair, you've got the conditioner in it, maybe you've gone in and already kind of did some finger detangling. And of course, no matter how much you do, you get out, you squeeze the water so that you're not just dripping, from the hair. It always gets a little tangly again. Before trying to detangle with either your fingers or a brush, you have to apply product. And so you want to have something that gives it some slippage. It could
Mm-hmm.
be, there are some, kind of liquidy gels that are very moisturizing. It might be that. It might be the aloe vera in combination with maybe your leave-in conditioner. You have to have something that's going to help to release the tension that's on there. Once again, do it in sections. Put it on your hand, hit the section, start pulling through with your fingers, working through, and then
Mm-hmm.
you go in with like your Denman brush. I'm a big fan of Denman brushes because what happens is that you have your section, you put your product on, and then you go in with the brush and it pulls down. And so what's going to happen is it's going to take those short pieces that are doing this and lay them next to the long pieces and spread your product evenly throughout. And when you're done, you can rake your fingers out, shake it, and then you're going to get more of a coil. And if you do that all over and you prep your hair really well, day one, you can get more days out of it,
Right.
throughout as you sleep on it and as you work.
Interesting. So when we think of our gray hair, for those of us who have gone completely gray or we're going gray, I never thought about like how gray hair would have more protein. So you probably want to do more deep conditioning treatments and no protein treatments.
Correct. I'd probably stay away from the protein treatments. And
Yeah.
protein, we could talk for an hour on and the history of protein and how they came to be in product and the trend, the way that things have very much changed because it started out with
Mm-hmm.
animal protein and then we started getting into food-based proteins. Now we're into plant proteins. And even
Right.
for a while there, you had silk protein, that was flexible. So protein's a whole, you need to have something just on the ingredients. But yeah, so definitely as you're looking at that, finer hair can use protein, finer porous hair can use protein.
Mhm.
Non-porous, thicker, denser hair, protein's probably not going to help you. And with the gray hair, you'd want to use it sparingly based upon your texture.
Okay. Wow. We have like so many questions, but we're almost done. And so I think I'm going to leave it with what are your top 5 ingredients you should be looking for in hair products for optimal moisture? So, what are the ingredients? Guys, get your paper and pen or pencil out so you can start writing this down.
Well, I hope I'm not too disappointing for people because ingredients are one of those things that, it's a little bit harder to do because you have to understand the scientific background of it. However, glycerin can be your friend when you're looking at, do I use something with glycerin or do I not use something with glycerin? Glycerin is intended to pull and absorb product in, or absorb, the moisture. It's a
Right.
moisture loving
The
molecule.
humectant.
It's
Yeah.
a humectant. Thank you. I'm like, what is that word again? And then the other one too is that not all alcohols are bad. And please help me at the moment too. Is that the cetyl alcohol that
There's
is moisture loving?
cetyl, yeah.
Okay,
Those
so
are the fatty acids.
I'm sorry.
The fatty acids.
The fatty acids, yes. So that's another ingredient that helps to really pull that moisture in as well. So those are things. So don't just see something and say, "Oh my God, it's alcohol. It's bad." It can be used, especially if it's in a moisturizing product. It's intended to help pull that up. So that's two things. As far as moisture goes, I would go for like some of your natural butters if you're wanting to try to keep on the natural ingredients. Like, we talked about avocado being in, that's kind of, so something like that is going to break up easier. Coconut oil creates a barrier and it's a preventative, but it does not actually deliver moisture. So that's that thing that people can get a little confused about, is the difference between oils and then moisture products for that.
Because coconut oil isn't really an oil because it solidifies at room temperature. So we should think of it more like as a fat, right?
Yeah. Because it creates a barrier. It doesn't actually, stay in that liquid state for that. So I'm trying to think. So those are my top things. And then outside of that, I basically just take it and say, how does it feel? What does that feel like? So when we were talking about product, the pudding was in a clump, but it's keeping its plumpiness, but look how it's absolutely now, whoops, there you go.
There you go.
It's becoming very lotiony, in that breakdown and getting absorbed in, and it's like spreading out. It's gotten a lot thinner.
I didn't even know my pudding could do this, but thank you for showing me, because now I can tell that to folks. So I'm going to bring that water glass. I'm doing a hair event next Saturday. I'm bringing that glass of water with me.
It's awesome because it really does help to give you. So like if the butter, as that example, that was the butter. Okay, the pudding absolutely completely now is liquefied.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So the butter started to break out. So when we think about what the butter is, then it's on the outside, it's a sealing butter, right?
Yeah.
So it's doing exactly what you designed it to do. The pudding became liquid. And so I would highly encourage people, if you feel like one product is too much or not enough, and then you have another product, see if you can find that in the middle base of, I'll use a little of this, I'll use a little of this other thing, I'm going to put it together, and then you'll create something new. And so you can experiment with cocktailing, mixing it together, okay, or layering. So you might put like one ingredient on, then put another ingredient on. And you're going to find out which of those is a little bit easier for you.
Excellent. Great topic. I think the people who are tuning in probably want you to talk for another hour, but we don't. We have to get ready for our next talk, the last talk of the day and of the summit. But thank you so much, Amy. Like, I tell you guys, like, she is such a wealth of knowledge, and I think we all saw that today. So for anybody who wants to find you, how can we find you again?
You can find me at ambushsalon.com. It's our website. And you can also go to our Instagram, Ambush Salon, Facebook, Ambush Salon, and you can find me there. If you have other questions, you can actually send them to me or send them to Scarlett, and we'll do an IG Live, and we'll do a whole nother thing for you.
Yeah, we do IG Live. So, and I feel like we're going to have to do like, this should be like volume 1, and then we're going to have to come back and do a volume 2, because this was just like so much information.
Well, I was thinking we need to do a podcast. I was thinking about that the other day.
Do it. Let's do it. All right. Thank you so much, Amy, for spending part of your Sunday with us. We so appreciate you. And people are like, thank you, Amy. Thank you so much, Amy. This is the best thing, Amy. So Amy, you're like the queen today.
Yay, it was a great day. Thank you everybody for showing up and all your questions, and hope to see you again in the future.
You're going to be a fixture around here. So thank you again.
Wonderful. You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. So we're going to have to make it quick so I can head over to the next call. But I mean, woo, Amy just like knocked it down. And now I'm like, listen, I am eyeballing this glass of water that I've been drinking. Like, when am I going to start putting my products into this and taking that test myself? I might have to do an IG live to show everyone else, because this was just so amazing. So much information. I think you guys love Amy. I think we're going to have like an iloveamy.com. So, and if you found this information to be valuable, and I feel like you did, you can, and I feel like this video alone would be a reason why you would want to purchase a lifetime access to the Healthy Hair Summit. She also did speak at the Spring Summit a little bit about choosing products for your hair. So, you know, this is kind of like part one, and this is what she just talked about was like part two, and she went more in depth into products. And now you guys have a better idea and understanding that I didn't even have myself. So for only $21, you will get access to this video and all the other videos from this Healthy Hair Summit and all the videos from the Spring, April Healthy Hair Summit. You're going to get the Healthy Hair Workbook. So I know some of you had questions about application. The workbook does help you to figure out how to apply the products and what works best for you. So only $21. It's a very small investment into so much information. And you can head over to healthyhairsummit.com. All right, guys. So now I'm going to head on over to the next talk. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll see you soon.